you've experienced homelessness, you've been rejected by everybody. And then when you go and you become a baker, you come in the morning, we got a big sack of flour and we got a big tub of butter, and you make XXXX chocolate rolls that people say they're to die for. You feel good about the fact that you can do things that are beautiful with your life. And I think it really gets the bakers charged up. For some time, my wife and I have been interested in social causes, but we didn't know what we wanted to do. I'm the cook at my house, and I was at home and I was bored, and I had not ever made bread. Bread machines don't count. I had a bread machine, but I had not made bread from scratch, and I decided to make bread from scratch, and I made 2 loaves of bread, and they were passable. But that night I went to sleep, and in my sleep I had a dream, and in the dream I was at the homeless center making bread with the homeless folks. So the next weekend, my wife and I went to the homeless center and recruited a couple of homeless folks from the dining room, and we made some bread, and we sold it at my church, and that was a little over 4 years ago, and since then we've made about 150,000 loaves of bread and about 100,000 packs of cinnamon rolls. We now have about 3 dozen churches that we sell through. Plus we have this retail location. We have 2 grocery stores we sell through and 2 restaurants. We're going to be onboarding another restaurant and about 4 or 5 more churches within the next month or so. Our ideas come primarily from the bakers. From the beginning, we actually only had help on our sourdough recipe and some help on the brioche recipe from a chef. But our first sweet bread was from a baker, and then after we did our first sweet bread, which is our apple cinnamon bread, we decided to try it as a sweet roll, and everything else has just sort of evolved with let's try this and let's try that. Formerly homeless workers stick with us. They're very dedicated. We've had almost no turnover, and they've developed a culture that actually is sustaining itself, so that I don't need to focus on those issues with the bakers. They focus on them themselves. And I think that one of the neatest things that happened was I have a baker, his name's Terrence. For 2 years, Terrence lived in an air conditioner on top of a building. It was a big commercial air conditioner, and he found a way to get under the coils and into a space where he was safe, because it's really hard to be safe when you're homeless. And he had pretty well given up that that's what he was going to do for the rest of his life. So in January of this year, we became an LLC, more separated from the bridge. And I was explaining to the bakers how we had our own payroll, we had our own checking account, and we had our own personnel policies and all. And Terrence said, "Excuse me, I got a question." I go, "Sure, Terrence, what's that?" And he says, "Are we going to have a 401k? Now, we don't have a 401k yet, but I thought that it was really cool that somebody who had been expecting to spend the rest of his life as a homeless person living in an air conditioner was concerned about his retirement. And that was a very rewarding moment for me. I'll tell you something that surprised me is how receptive people are who meet the bakers to the story of Bridge Bread, and especially how receptive they are across the spectrum of belief and ideology and politics. Bridge Bread, because it is a social enterprise that asks for no support from the government, does receive donations but doesn't solicit them, basically is self-sustaining. It has been very surprising how easy it is to engage with people across a wide variety of philosophies and beliefs and talk about what Bridge Bread's all about, and everybody's on the same page.